But my neck problems aside, which have happened for personal reasons, we need to go ahead and talk about Steven Crowder. Apparently, he can't stop talking about masks. He just can't stop talking about masks. He posted today on Twitter a 5-minute video about masks. Apparently, I guess we're still talking about this shit. Let's go ahead and take a look here.
The science, or really just, you've heard them say that masks save lives. And in case you haven't heard it recently, because the science, or really just science, right? Not the science copyright. Science says...
Okay, so the science is a statement we use when we're talking about the science of something. The science of evolution, the science of geology, the science of, virology. Like that's what we mean when we say the science of. Also, we need to go ahead and raise his voice just a little bit because everything is just low on Twitter. Anyway, let's continue.
That it's not correct. Here's a reminder of what it sounded like then.
The CDC is now recommending that people, including those vaccinated, go back to wearing masks indoors in regions of the country that are seeing substantial or high rates of COVID-19 spread.
The World Health Organization is urging fully vaccinated people to continue wearing masks as the Delta variant spreads worldwide.
Masks matter. These masks, they matter. It matters. It saves lives. It prevents the spread of...
Why did he... Hold on.
Masks matter. These masks, they matter. It matters, it saves lives, it prevents...
Wait a minute, hold on. Why in the middle of the Steven Crowder clip do we just hear a dude just saying pedophile? What? I'm not hearing that wrong, right? We're just going to turn off the background music, and it's just going to be this.
It's worldwide.
Masks matter. These masks, they matter. It matters, it saves lives, it prevents the spread of the disease. So if you have a...
I have a question. Is it slander if you call somebody a pedophile who's not a pedophile? What if that person's the president? What is that? What is that?
A physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense that it likely would be more effective. And that's the reason why you see people either double masking or doing a version of an N95.
Why are they just... Is this the content people like? Just a bunch of guys going, "What a loser!" when they see a dude who's actually studied to get his job on camera? Is that what people enjoy? Have you ever seen those like Jay Bluebird videos where it's like, I watched a week of nothing but Steven Crowder and this is what happened? I have to wonder, for people who actively like and enjoy this content, what are they like?
Let COVID win. Wear a mask.
I love the science, right, Mr. Fauci there.
I'm such an idiot.
Just immediately making a logical leap. If the science shows that one condom helps, then two would just make sense.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's a reason that 2 condoms doesn't make sense, and I can actually articulate it very well. When you're using one condom, there is a layer of protection between you and the person who's there. If the condom breaks, that protection goes away. If there are 2 layers of condoms there, the friction between those 2 condoms can actually cause one to break, thereby making 2 of them less effective than one of them. Now, with masks, the reason that people wear 2 masks sometimes is because one mask is catching things like their breath, and another mask on top of it, it just makes them feel better about it. Now, when Fauci is saying it's just common sense, yeah. Yeah, that's just common sense. Wearing 2 masks would be more effective. Here's the thing. Common sense doesn't make something true. I hate to tell you this, but we have common sense about a lot of things, and it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. Common sense does not mean something is right or wrong. Common sense is just the series of assumptions, the prejudices that you have accumulated up to that point. That's what common sense is. Now, the question is not, did Fauci say that double masking is common sense? The question is, was he saying double masking is important? Also, yeah, Sakura is pointing out, unlike condoms, masks are porous. So when you're putting two condoms on top of each other, you're not adding anything, but you are adding the element of friction. But if you do take two porous surfaces and put them on top of each other, one will actually block open points in the other surface. As an example, take a slice of Swiss cheese. If you have two slices of Swiss cheese from the exact same block of cheese right next to each other, there's going to be a continuous hole between the two of them at some point on the cheese. If you move the cheese an inch down, there will be fewer holes that are not covered because you've taken two porous surfaces and you've layered them on top of one another. That's how that works. Now, the reason that we know that masks, the reason we know masks work where COVID is concerned is the COVID particulates have to actually carry themselves on water. They have to carry themselves on vapor. And if they cannot, or not vapor, on droplets. They carry themselves on droplets. So when I'm talking to you, there's a high likelihood that every now and again, some moisture makes it out of my mouth and onto a surface, which you would then touch and then maybe scratch your eyes. And then you got COVID. That's how infection with COVID works. Turns out COVID's not airborne. COVID is moisture-borne. This is why masks work when we're talking about COVID. You are literally trapping the moisture in the mask. That's how that works. That has not changed. Unless COVID has become fully airborne and is not on moisture particles anymore, I don't think that's actually changed much.
Never mind the friction would cause them to create micro tears.
Yeah, the friction causes micro tears with condoms. Good thing Fauci didn't bring up condoms.
Currently, right now, Lionsgate has a mask mandate that they just put back into effect for, I believe, their Santa Monica offices. Anybody that goes into the office has to have a mask. And a university in Atlanta basically said, we're going to mask for the next 2 weeks. There's no parties. Yeah, that's going to work on a college campus. No parties or large gatherings. And everybody...
Yeah, so whether or not it's going to work on a college campus, they still have to put up the rule, right? They have to do their due diligence to make sure that they are not endangering other people. Depraved Ambient says, I think you're incorrect about that. It is now known to be airborne or at least transmissible through aerosis. It's not only droplet contact transmission. You know what? I'm not above being corrected, so let's go ahead and see here. Transmitted aerosis. Mounting evidence suggests that the virus can be transmitted through inhalation of virus-laden aerosis from the CDC. Aerosols are small, or aerosols, not aerosis, aerosols. They're small respiratory particles that can linger in the air and disperse or travel over a distance of 2 meters in under circumstances. Okay, cool. So I stand corrected. They don't just travel via droplets. They do travel via aerosols again. So, here's the next question we have to ask ourselves. Do masks help against aerosols? From the National Institute of Health, let's go ahead and check this out. Filtration efficiency of face masks against aerosolized SARS-CoV-2 and different social distances. The coronavirus is an unprecedented global event. It has become clear, blah, blah, blah. Global vaccination campaigns against COVID are underway, in part due to the social distancing. We quantified and compared 4 types of masks. Homemade cloth masks with 3 layers of cloth fabric with respect to outward filtration, inward filtration, blah, 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 blah. The filtering performance of the mask was assessed by measuring pseudovirin concentrations at different social distances from a sneezing source in a quiescent indoor environment after sample collection. So if you're sneezing outward, let's see here. Let's see what it shows here. So it shows if you're sneezing outward, there's multiple spreaders for the actual virus right here. And then once you go ahead and sneeze, the amount of spreaders that are allowed to exit through the mask decrease significantly. So with no mask at all, there is a higher yield of viral load. With a cloth mask, there is a medium yield of viral load here. Single-use masks actually are better than cloth masks at stopping that at all. If you're at a distance of 0 meters, then they work twice as well as cloth masks and an order of magnitude better than cloth masks once you're at 0.5 meters and higher. Surgical masks, on the other hand, have an even better rate, but for some reason at 0.5 meters, there's still a 3% chance, or 3% load that comes out. And N95 masks across the board have about a 2 or 3% viral load that comes through. So, what does this mean? Well, it means masks work. That's what it means. It means masks work. Now, if you're wearing a mask and somebody has a viral load, and they sneeze, the yields seem to be about the same or similar. Very, very similar. Why is this here? Why do I need this thing here? Go away. Go away. There we go. So if you are using a mask and somebody else is sneezing, turns out that the viral load is actually decreased by wearing the mask as well. So if everybody is masking, then this lowers the rate of infection for everybody pretty much unanimously. Wow. Yeah, Nox Lupus has it right. A thing that's been used in medicine for hundreds of years works? Who would have known? God, that's so weird that people, even people that I know and am friends with, are incorrect about masks. How strange. God, how weird. And even I was incorrect on this, actually. The data that I had been using was based on COVID being in particulate form and transferring not via aerosols, but over droplets. But with this new data, yes, COVID actually does transfer via aerosols, and it turns out masks still work on aerosolized viral particulates. The viral load is still important. Weird. When a virus is carrying its load, Steven Crowder is incorrect. Man, this feels weird to be wrong and then also be right because of the same reasons.
Has to go back to wearing a mask. So we're not talking like this is again Alex Jones.
It's
right.
happening with private companies, but again, that's just they're testing it. What's the science? What science do we have on masks now?
I wonder what science we have on masks.
Well, let me just rapid fire this for you, and the references are available. Okay. Key factor number 1. Masks, we now know, can actually, and by can, mean are actually poisonous. So
what? The what? The what? How? What? How? How are masks poisonous? By what definition is a mask poisonous? What the fuck? I need to Google the definition of poison real quick. There's a helpline definition. Poison, a substance that is capable of causing illness or death of a living organism when introduced or absorbed. So if you wear a mask, it poisons you? How? How? Abalon says there's a conspiracy that masks cause CO2 inhalation. But you're still breathing in the same air. This is why doctors can wear masks for 9 to 10 hours during surgery, and it's fine. What? Yeah, unless you're, like, lacing your masks with asbestos. What is he talking about?
So here's a new study that came out here in the last couple of weeks. Researchers at Jeonbuk University, their K94, which, by the way, are very similar to the N95 masks, they were found to release high levels of volatile organic compounds. You've heard the term TVOC, right?
Masks release high levels of... Hold on. Let's go ahead and see here. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let's do our due diligence. Mask study published by NIH suggests N95 masks may expose wearers to dangerous levels of toxic compounds. Let's see here. I believe this is the one he's talking about, maybe. Showing results for this. Or unless it's, what was the name of it? Measuring the quantity of harmful volatile organic compounds inhaled through masks. All right, so we're looking at this study right now. Published in May of this year. And the first thing we have to look at is citations. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, I don't actually know how to see the citations here on PubMed. Like what it's been cited in. This is their bibliography here. This is all the stuff they're citing. An increase in the concentration of environmental particulate matter and the spread of COVID-19 virus have dramatically increased our time spent wearing masks. If harmful chemicals are released from these masks, there may be harmful effects on human health. In the study, concentration of volatile organic compounds emitted from some commonly used masks was assessed qualitatively and quantitatively under diverse conditions, including different mask material types. Okay, so let's see here. COVID-19 is, but it's still showing that COVID-19 and everything else is blocking. What? Let's see. We've assessed the type of mask, selection of target mask samples, basic information associated with tested masks. Open this in a separate window. Oh, that's lovely. I like when I can't read the table at all. All masks, pre-purge flow rate, pre-purge time, temperature. In short, VOCs emitted from each mask were subject to qualitative and quantitative analysis. VOCs were absorbed and collected, and after thermal desorption, they were induced by the TD system, then separated and analyzed. See, this is why Steven Crowder doesn't actually talk about studies, really, on his channel. Because it would require him to go through this, and doing this live is fun. Let's see here. Sampler. We're gonna commit the cardinal sin of going through all of this and seeing what the conclusion is. Because it's a very, very long, well, it's not even the longest study I've had to read. As the number of problems that require mask wearing, including air pollution and COVID-19, grows, masks are increasingly important. Now that masks are all but required, the harmful chemicals that can be released from some must be evaluated. In this study, VOCs generated from various types of masks, included commonly used KF94 disposal masks, were assessed. The types and concentration that humans are likely to be exposed from these masks under various conditions were calculated and compared. The study demonstrated that disposable masks release higher concentrations of TVOCs in comparison to cotton masks. For cotton masks, the concentrations are high enough to pose concern based on indoor air quality guidelines established by the German Federal Environmental Agency. However, when KF94 masks were opened and left undisturbed for 30 minutes at room temperature, their concentrations significantly decreased. It is clear that particular attention must be paid to the VOCs associated with the use of K94 masks, their effects on human health. Based on our findings, we suggest prior to wearing KF94 masks, each product should be open and not worn for at least 30 minutes, thereby reducing concentrations to levels that will not impair human health. Steven, that's not the same thing as the masks being poisonous. That's literally just saying, hey, masks are still good, but you should probably open them up to the air before you take them in. A whole lot like if you have a plastic drinking bottle of some kind, you're supposed to wash it out first, because sometimes there's a film in it that's part of the manufacturing process that can cause upset stomach and other problems. It doesn't mean the bottle's poisonous. It just means you need to do your due diligence and wash the damn thing. So when you have a mask, don't just, like, open it and immediately throw it on. Open it out to the air for a little bit and then take it in, because there's particulate matter from the manufacturing process that might be left over that can literally just be aired out. That's not the same thing as a mask being poisonous. What? Also, it's important to note when he's like, these are like the N95 masks. No, the fuck they are not. They are different masks for a reason. That's why they have different names.
Organic compounds. You've heard the term TVOC, right? So 8 times the recommended safety limit.
We think that sounds
8 times the recommended safety limit. Is that what it said there? 8 times recommended safety limit of toxic, volatile, organic compounds. Right. But again, said linked with headaches, nausea, and while prolonged and repeated exposure has been linked to organ damage and even cancer. Right. So, important to note that all of those levels went down. Literally, in the conclusion, it points out that those levels go down the minute you just air the fucking mask out. Also, this is only about one kind of mask, not all masks. Keep in mind, recommended safety limits are oftentimes arbitrary.
All organic compounds. You've heard the term TVOC, right? So 8 times the recommended safety limit.
We think that sounds bad.
8 times is more than 7. But in this case, it's bad. So can we just round that down to 0? No, Fauci, you can't just manipulate it anymore. Wow!
But he never said any of those things. What? I guess it's really easy to make these kind of assumptions about your fights with people on the internet when they're made of straw, Steven.
Here's key fact number 2, okay? Masks, we now know. Remember we did this in schools? But they hurt children in a multitude of ways. Measurable
how?
Ways. Quantifiable ways.
One of the ones that pisses me off the most.
Remember they would always say, hey, what harm is it? Oh, if we lock everything down, look, it's just a safety measure. At this point, err on the side of safety. As though there were no consequences. As though fundamentally altering our economy was not a consequence. Hey, look, err on the side of safety, right? So kids do their class by Zoom a little bit. How did masks hurt them? Well, lockdowns hurt them mentally, by the way. We've now...
But that's not masks. That wasn't masks. That's not what's being talked about. That's lockdowns. And yeah, we know lockdowns were in fact harmful for a lot of people because it impaired their ability to grow socially. Yeah, we know that, Steven. I don't think you actually have an argument here.
Seen record numbers of inhibited emotional development.
Yeah.
We've seen slower language development.
Okay, the impact of masks on social and emotional development. Speech therapy shows the difficult trade-offs of wearing masks. In summary, children can likely still read some emotions from masked faces, but it may be more difficult. Okay, yeah, this is just what you would expect, though. Like, okay, so, just saying, when you are a human being, it is actively a part of the listening process to look at somebody's mouth and see how they're wording something. The animated way that we go about speaking on the internet, or just in general, like not on the internet, but to each other, that is part of the human condition. That's part of what we do. So, yes, I actually can understand what they're talking about when they're like, hey, it's harder for some of these kids to read emotion from people who have part of their face obscured. yeah, that's kind of expected. Again, it's the trade-off. It's harder for you to read emotion, but you get sick less. Like, that's called a trade-off, Steven. That's called a trade-off. That doesn't mean that it's harming children. That's making something a little more difficult for children. Why don't your kids just pull themselves up by their bootstraps, or don't you believe that anymore? Ninja says, never affected my ability to communicate. That's cool. It did affect mine. Said we can read the eyes as well. Eyes don't lie. Yes, they do. They do. We read hand motion. We read body language. We read the way somebody's eyes are operating. We read the way somebody's mouth is moving. We read all these things. When you lower access to one of those things, it does get harder to hear people. Like for me, if I can't read somebody's lips when they're speaking, it is actively harder for me to hear the words they're saying. And yeah, there are transparent masks for that if you so desperately need that, though they look kind of weird, not gonna lie.
Element. Also, if kids wear the mask too long, they could end up looking like this. That's a problem that we deal with.
Ah!
What? That... What? This feels like a bit. This feels like a bit. I don't think anybody looks like this after wearing a mask too much. Or at least the mask wasn't the cause of that.
Psychologically, we've seen increased anxiety. We've seen...
Oh, no, they're laughing about it. Okay. This is all a bit, guys. This is all a bit. It's a joke, guys. So this is from the movie The Mask with Cher. Oh, so it's... I can't take it seriously because it's a joke, I guess. Okay. Let's see here. Impacts on mask wearing of psychological development and systematic review. 2 studies reported psychological symptoms like anxiety and stress, as well as concentration and learning problems due to wearing masks during the COVID-19 pandemic. Was it maybe a lot of things, not just the masks? I feel like the lockdowns had just as much to do with that, but sure, let's go ahead and just call it the masks there. Or we'll just go ahead and highlight that part. No other part of the study matters, just this little part we highlighted.
Increased stress. We've also seen, by the way, children from these lockdown periods in masks, as they go into adulthood and into university, we've seen higher substance abuse. We've seen high...
Yeah, that kind of comes with depression. What are we going to do about it, Steven? Do you have an answer for that? Do you have an answer for what we do about the increased rates of anxiety and depression people are dealing with when they haven't had as much time to learn how to socialize with other people? Do you have an answer for what to do about that, or are you just going to whine about what's happened in the past and not actually come up with a solution?
Higher rates of mood disorders, by the way, to a statistical degree that couldn't be explained any other way. And when you add all of these together that follow the same trend,
it's amazing that he doesn't bring up a source for this one.
That's where you see a very clear causation. We also have very physical manifestations. Breathing discomfort that kids went through, skin disorders, headaches.
So the skin disorders are, they happen when a person uses a mask and they do not remove the damn thing and swap it with something else. Because if you wear the same mask over and over again, the germs from the mask are still on it the exact same way that germs on your clothes are still on them, and they start to smell a little bit. Maybe you should go change your shirt, put it in the laundry. Probably a good idea. That's what happens there. Also, let's see here. What was the other stuff that he mentioned? So he mentioned skin disorders.
Physical manifestations. Breathing discomfort that kids went.
So breathing discomfort. Actually, yes. Some people find it difficult to breathe through a mask. Myself, I already have some trouble breathing due to allergy issues. So yeah, I can agree with that one. I'm not just going to sit here and go Steven Crowder wrong for everything he says when sometimes he's right.
Through skin disorders, headaches. These increase dramatically. Fact number 3. According to the Cochrane report...
The what?
I get it. I know. So we are all...
The Cochrane report?
Children.
Cochrane, not ring. So
Right.
10 studies took place in the community. 2 studies in health...
The community? What's the community? We're missing some stuff here.
Healthcare workers. Compared with wearing no mask in the community, studies only, wearing a mask may make a little to no difference in how many people caught a flu-like illness or COVID-like illness. We've had many studies too. This is another...
Interesting. So, hold on. Cochrane Library, Physical Interventions to Interrupt or Reduce the Spread of Respiratory Viruses Review. Let's take a look at that one real quick. Why not? Let's go to Physical interventions to interrupt or reduce the spread of respiratory viruses. Review. Let's take a look here. So this one is from 2011. Let's see. Background: viral epidemics or epidemics of acute respiratory infections like influenza or severe acute respiratory syndrome pose global threat. Antiviral drugs and vaccinations may be insufficient to prevent their spread. To review the effectiveness of physical interventions to interrupt or reduce the spread of respiratory viruses. Let's see here. 2011. It is a 2011 study, but we're still going to look at it. We're going to look at it. So Suris peer-reviewing people who don't know what peer review means is funny to me. Jesus. I hope it's entertaining for people, because when this makes it onto YouTube, I'm worried that the time I'm perusing this... Wait, hold on. Simple and low-cost interventions would be useful for reducing transmission of epidemic respiratory viruses. Routine long-term implementation of some measures assessed might be difficult without the threat of an epidemic. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Why does the study say that interventions are still useful for reducing transmission? Why does the study that you used... Wait a minute. What? Review the evidence of effective physical interventions to interrupt or reduce the spread of acute respiratory virus. TJ says, first rule of citing is to not use sources more than 5 years old unless for comparison purposes, i.e. previously understood positions versus newly understood positions. Yeah. I'm still going to look at it because we've already found some weirdness in here. We've already found a little bit of weirdness in here. See, they assessed a bunch of titles. Oh, so this wasn't even them. This was a meta-analysis. This wasn't a study done on anything. This was looking at a bunch of other studies. So it's a meta-analysis. 3 of these were poorly reported with no description. Wait. We need to look at the conclusion for this, because this is going to go over like 97 different studies. It's got them all sorted here with all their methods here. Crowder could have literally grabbed damn near anything from this study, because it points out that some of these studies were even done incorrectly. He could have grabbed anything from here. Hold on. Mr. Steven Crowder. 10 studies took place in the community. Let's go ahead and look at that part. 10 studies. I'm not seeing 10 studies at all in any... That means that this is inside one of these scrollable sections. It's inside one of these scrollable sections. So wait, Crowder, did you not take from the actual conclusion of the study you cited? Or did you just grab a random bit? Some of these studies are from 1981. Crowder, you could have grabbed literally anything from this shit and not actually grabbed the conclusions from the study that matters. The fucking author at the beginning of this said that physical interventions are helpful and work. Crowder, you fucking liar. You Weasley little liar. My guy. My guy! I'm so glad that you cited your study. I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad you did that. Because when we actually looked at your shit, I didn't find the part that you actually cited. I didn't. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe somebody afterwards is going to look at this and go like, hey, Suris is wrong. I found out where he's wrong. But as it turns out, from what I have seen, I can't find the actual part that you posted here, which leads me to believe it's in the scrollable sections of one of the 90-something studies that were looked at in this meta-analysis. And the author's conclusion for the meta-analysis says you're wrong. I am older than some of the studies in this. This is... Steven! Steven! Why are you like this? Why did you do this? Why are you a liar? Thank you for the raid, Honix. I'm having fun looking at the claims that masks are poisonous, they hurt children, and they had no impact on the spread of COVID. Mind you, for his third point here saying they had no impact on the spread of COVID, he's using a study from before COVID was a thing. He's using a study from 2011 to conclude that masks did nothing for COVID, when that epidemic was well after 2011. Steven, what the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ. So, we found out that his first point, masks aren't poisonous. We found that the, quote, poison that is in masks is fought by just putting the mask on the counter for half an hour. Oh, whoop-de-doo. I guess we shouldn't have plastic bottles anymore, because if you don't wash them, that's a problem. Oh my god. Onyx says, unless the study proves that masks do nothing at all at any time, it's bullshit. I don't know what you mean by that, but the only one that he had it right on is number 2. And yes, masks do hurt children, but also COVID hurts children, so you're trading it off. You're trading it off. It's the seatbelt thing. Yes, the seatbelt is uncomfortable for some people, but it objectively protects you in case you get in a car crash. It's this thing again. It's this thing again. So there's other reasons to use plastic bottles less? Yes, but besides the point. Said, pretty sure crowd reviewers want a comfortable lie, not an uncomfortable truth. His 5-minute video, we had to sit here and look through multiple studies to show that he's literally just full of bullshit. He's just full of bullshit. He can't talk about anything new. He's got to keep talking about the mask thing when more and more science comes out showing that he's incorrect. More studies come out showing he's incorrect. More meta-analyses are happening on the older studies to show that he's incorrect. And when he cites studies, we look at the studies, and the studies don't say the things he says they're saying. He has to quote a part in the study that looks like it might be agreeing with him, but it's awkwardly never actually from the conclusion. It's always from a part in the middle of the study, where, like, somebody was just going through trying to quote mine and find the thing that sounded the most like it agreed with him. Jesus Christ, this is obnoxiously sad. This is obnoxiously sad. Anywho, I don't know what else to say besides he Control F studies for keywords. He has to. He has to. That was a meta-analysis of over 90 different studies. And looking through all of that shit, I used Control F and couldn't find the part he quoted, which means it's within one of the fucking 90 studies. Which again, maybe I did something incorrect there. Somebody can check me on that afterwards. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think some of my brain cells have died too. I don't think I have good brain right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below when this gets up on YouTube. I need a drink. Insert end of video tagline here. Right at the best of times, and the stability that Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here. And they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, Sagitt, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helped keep this channel here.